Fireman Sam, A Surprise for Sarah, and Other Stories. Join in the fun and excitement in these stories all about Fireman Sam and his friends from Pontypandy. A Surprise for Sarah. Fireman Sam was on his way down to the fire station when he bumped into Sarah, James and Norman. "Morning, you three," he said. "Off somewhere nice?"
"Oh, hello, Uncle Sam,"
replied James.
"We're going up to Pandy Farm to play."
"It's a beautiful day, isn't it? Enjoy yourselves." And he went off to work. Sarah, James and Norman ran off up the lane to Pandy Farm.
"I've got an idea,"
said Norman when they got there.
"Let's play fireman. You're Fireman Sam, James. I'll be Elvis, and we'll rescue Sarah." "I don't want to be rescued,"
cried Sarah.
"Can't I be a fireman too, and we can all pretend we're rescuing someone?" "But you're a girl, and girls aren't firemen,"
said James.
"Come on, Sarah."
Reluctantly, Sarah agreed.
"Climb up to the top of the haystack, and we'll pretend it's on fire,"
said Norman.
"I'm not sure about this,"
said Sarah as she clambered up.
It seems very high. I can touch the roof."
When she reached the top bale, she caught hold of a beam and sat down on it, swinging her legs in the air.
"Ready?"
she shouted, looking for the two boys.
"You can start rescuing me now."
James and Norman had disappeared.
"James! Norman!"
Sarah shouted, but there was still no sign of them.
"Never mind. I'll just sit here and wait. They're bound to come back."
Sarah waited and waited, but the boys didn't come back.
"I'm bored with this," she thought. "I might be missing something. I'll get down and go and find them."
But when Sarah looked down, the top bale had slipped down the stack, and the next one was too far to jump to. She was stuck.
"Now what am I going to do?"
she thought, beginning to feel scared.
"What if James and Norman don't come back? Help! Help!"
she shouted at the top of her voice.
"I didn't know Sarah was such a good actress,"
Norman whispered to James as they put their heads round the barn door.
"Anyone would think she was really stuck up there."
"Don't worry, Sarah. Fireman Sam's here now,"
said James, putting on a deep voice.
"And I've got Elvis to help me. We'll get the ladder from outside and have you out of here in a jiffy."
Sarah was delighted.
"Oh, thank goodness you're here, Uncle Sam. James and Norman wanted to pretend to be firemen and rescue me, so I climbed all the way up here. Now I'm really stuck and they've disappeared."
James and Norman looked at each other. "Oh dear," said James.
"I think we need a proper ladder, not a pretend one. You'd better go and call the fire brigade, Norman, while I stay here with Sarah." "Hello, Sarah," laughed James. "Sorry we were so long. Norman wanted to go and see the new foal. Are you all right?"
Sarah grinned.
"Oh, yes, I'm all right. Now Fireman Sam's here, that is. He and Elvis have just gone to fetch the ladder from Jupiter, and then they're going to rescue me properly. Don't look so worried, James. You know we can trust Uncle Sam. Where's Norman, by the way?" I'm not sure,"
stuttered James, with his fingers crossed behind his back.
"He should be here soon."
Norman came racing into the barn.
"Don't worry, I've called the fire brigade. Fireman Sam's already out on a call, but they're sending over the rescue tender from Newtown. Just hang on a little longer, Sarah." "What are you talking about, Norman?"
asked Sarah, looking puzzled.
"Of course Fireman Sam's out on a call. He's here. He's just gone to get his ladder." "Well, actually, Sarah," said James, looking around embarrassed, "Fireman Sam isn't here. You must have heard Norman and I pretending."
Sarah burst into tears.
"I'm going to be stuck up here all night, and it's all your fault. Who says girls can't be firemen? They couldn't be any worse than you two, going off and leaving me like that."
"Who says girls can't be firefighters?"
said a voice from outside the barn.
"Firefighter Morris from the Newtown Brigade to your rescue."
And in walked Penny Morris carrying her ladder. James and Norman couldn't believe their eyes.
Stop crying now. I'll soon have you down.
said Penny as she stretched out her ladder and put it up against the haystack until it reached the beam.
Hold on, Sarah. I'll come up and get you.
Penny climbed up the ladder.
"What's going on here, James?"
said Fireman Sam, coming into the barn.
"What's Sarah doing up on that beam?"
Oh, Uncle Sam, we were pretending to rescue Sarah and she got stuck.
"Well, don't worry. She's in safe hands,"
said Fireman Sam.
"Firefighter Morris is a credit to the force."
There you are, Sarah,
said Penny, setting Sarah down safely on the barn floor.
I bet that was your first firefighter's lift. Thanks, Penny,
grinned Sarah, and then she turned to James and Norman.
You weren't pretending to rescue me at all. Next time we play firefighters, bags I be Penny Morris, and I'll rescue you two, single-handed.
All in a good cause. Trevor Evans had been installing Bella's new shower and was just finishing reconcreting the pavement outside the cafe.
"There you are, Bella,"
he said, stepping back to admire his work.
"You're going to have the smartest shower in Pontypandy, even if I say so myself."
Thanks to you, Trevor,
Bella replied.
Come in for some dinner when you've finished down at the house.
"Oh, yes, please, Bella," Trevor called. "Look at this, Trev,"
said Fireman Sam.
£300 for the children's ward, all from the fire station raffle.
He opened his briefcase.
"How about some raffle tickets?"
called out Fireman Sam as he went into the cafe. He put his case down on an old box of rubbish.
Thanks, Fireman Sam. I'll buy you 5,
replied Bella, dumping some more rubbish on top of the pile. She'd been clearing out while Trevor installed her shower.
"Oh, thanks, Bella,"
said Fireman Sam, giving Bella the tickets.
"It's all in a good cause. We've raised £300 already."
He picked up the case from the top of the boxes and left the cafe.
Ciao, Fireman Sam,
said Bella. She looked down and frowned at the pile of rubbish.
But I thought...
Up at the fire station, Elvis and Penny were admiring a large basket of fruit.
"That looks juicy,"
said Fireman Sam.
Yes, Mrs. Price has donated it as a raffle prize,
Penny explained.
Isn't she kind?
"Yuck, these are bad,"
said Elvis, spitting out a grape.
"Trust Dillis,"
sighed Fireman Sam.
"How's it going, Fireman Sam?"
asked Station Officer Steele when he arrived.
"Oh, £300 so far, sir, and we haven't finished yet. Could you look after the money while we do the charity bed push in Pontypandy this afternoon, please?"
"That's the spirit. Keep up the good work, Fireman Sam,"
said Station Officer Steele.
Oi, Mr. Evans,
said Norman cheekily, popping his head round the corner.
Can I write my name in the wet concrete?
"Just you dare, Norman Price," Trevor warned.
How about a humbug, then?
Norman offered Trevor the bag of sweets.
"Oh, don't mind if I do,"
replied Trevor. Squelch! He stepped into the wet concrete. Bella, meanwhile, was piling up her rubbish in the garden.
Time for a good bonfire. I don't need all this junk in my new bathroom. It's no good to anyone,
she thought to herself.
You can't trust public transport anymore.
Dillis grumbled as the charity bed push passed the bus stop. Penny rattled the bucket, and Dillis dropped in a small coin.
Seeing as you've paid your fare, Dillis, we'll give you a lift.
Penny grinned. Trevor was still concreting when they arrived outside the shop.
"Oh, that looks comfy, Dillis," he called.
Yes, and it's more reliable than the bus service these days,
retorted Dillis.
Thanks for the ride, Penny. That's interesting,
Dillis thought, taking a good look at the rubbish Bella had heaped up for her bonfire. She poked around and pulled a couple of things out.
It would be a shame to burn these. I'm sure I could use them.
Checking that no one was looking, she scurried home. When Fireman Sam got back to the fire station, Station Officer Steele looked worried. Fireman Sam's briefcase was open on his desk, empty.
"Now, Fireman Sam, where did you last see the money?"
he asked.
Oh, yes, at Bella's this morning. She was clearing out rubbish. Quick!"
Bella carried the last load of rubbish outside and set fire to the pile.
Mamma mia, I didn't know I had so much to throw away,
she said as the fire blazed. She heard the telephone ringing and hurried inside.
Hello, Fireman Sam. Don't worry about the smoke. It's only my bonfire.
Bella, have you got a briefcase like mine? I think they've got mixed up.
That whole thing? I've just put him on the bonfire. Why?
The line went dead. Elvis and Penny were sitting in the fire station mess when the alarm rang and Fireman Sam charged in.
"There's a fire at the cafe," he shouted.
Oh, don't worry,
said Penny, sitting down again.
Bella's having a bonfire, that's all.
"I know," said Fireman Sam. "And the briefcase with the money for the children's ward inside is on it."
Grabbing their helmets, the crew jumped into Jupiter. With the siren blaring and the lights flashing, they roared off down the road towards the cafe. Watched by Trevor, Jupiter screeched to a halt in the wet concrete outside the cafe. Dragging the hose, the firefighters rushed round the back to the bonfire.
What's going on at Bella's?
Asked Norman, coming out of the shop to watch. But it was too late. All that was left of Bella's pile of rubbish were a few smoking remains, and there was no sign of the briefcase.
"Well, that's it," said Fireman Sam. £300 up in smoke. I'll never repay that. "As it's for you, Bella, I'll have one last go at this job,"
Trevor agreed with a weary groan as he looked at the tire marks in the wet concrete.
"But this is my last try. Any more marks will have to stay."
He didn't see Norman grinning as he listened round the corner.
"What am I going to do?"
groaned Fireman Sam.
"How was I to know that Bella had a briefcase identical to mine? Now we'll have to start all over again."
Everyone was silent. Then they heard hysterical screaming coming from across the street. They raced outside to see Dilys waving her arms about.
"What's wrong, Dilys?"
Fireman Sam cried, forgetting all about the money as he rushed over to help.
Nothing. But Fireman Sam, look!
Dilys was carrying a black briefcase and waving fistfuls of £5 notes.
"That's the raffle ticket money! Thank goodness for that!"
said Fireman Sam, heaving a sigh of relief.
"Where did you find that briefcase?"
he smiled.
Well, I, noticed it on Bella's bonfire, and
Dilys mumbled, going pink.
Anyway, waste not, want not, I say.
"Too right, Dilys. You're a heroine." "That's it, until Bella gets her next new bathroom anyway," said Trevor, exhausted. "Now for some Italian home cooking." "Go and look at my masterpiece,"
he said to Fireman Sam and Bella when he'd finished eating. They all trooped outside.
"Not bad," chuckled Fireman Sam. "But I'm not sure about the hair."
"What the—" Trevor gasped, staring at the cartoon in the pavement.
"That Norman gets everywhere."
Lost in the fog.
"Oh, it's not fair, this isn't,"
moaned Norman as he mopped the shop floor.
It was an accident, honest. Accident, my foot.
Dilys scoffed.
I suppose those stink bombs just appeared out of thin air. But, Ma'am, I'm going to Penny Morris's for tea with Sarah and James. No, Norman, you're not getting away with it this time.
Meanwhile, Fireman Sam and Elvis were driving back to Pontypandy after a call-out.
"Clouds coming down thick over the valley,"
said Fireman Sam, turning on Jupiter's headlights. Later, Dilys was reading her horoscope at Bella's cafe.
A lot of rubbish they are,
said Bella.
No, they're not. I always read mine,
said Dilys.
I read the tea leaves too,
she added, peering into Bella's empty cup.
Mrs. Lasagna,
she said,
you will meet a dark, handsome man who loves to travel.
Sarah, who had overheard Dilys, was impressed.
Tell my fortune, please, Mrs. Price, she begged. I can't read tea leaves from milkshakes, said Dilys. But swill this cup out.
She handed Sarah the cup she'd just finished with.
Ah. I see you're going on a journey this afternoon, said Dilys. Wow, go on, Mrs. Price, urged James. To Newtown? Oh, dear, it's misting over now. I think crystal balls do that now, Mrs. Price,
asked Bella suspiciously. But as Trevor came into the cafe, she joked,
Perhaps Mr. Evans is a more handsome travelling man. What did I tell you?
said Dilys.
I've got the gift, and it looks as though you'll come to a sticky end, Sarah.
Dilys continued, watching Sarah wipe the jam off her face with her hanky. "Come on, you two," said Trevor. "Time for us to go."
Bye, Uncle Sam.
called Sarah and James, waving as Jupiter passed Trevor's bus.
Can we get out here, please?
asked Sarah when they got up into the hills.
We want to pick some daisies for Penny.
Trevor looked at the cloud and frowned.
Don't worry,
said Sarah.
we can walk from here. It's not far to Newtown.
"All right then, but be careful," he called out. The twins had already climbed over the gate into a field.
Hurry up, Sarah, or we'll be late for tea.
Shouted James impatiently.
Just a few more.
Called Sarah. By now, the cloud had turned into fog. It was getting thicker and thicker. Back at the shop, Norman was still cleaning.
I'm no good at this,
he moaned as a sack of budgie seed toppled over.
You need the practice, then?
Said Dilys crossly.
If only I could have seen what the future held for me,
she muttered.
I bet Penny will take Sarah and James to the pictures after tea,
said Norman with a sigh, as he picked up the broom again.
And here's me slaving away at home.
Dilys grinned to herself as she overheard what Norman was saying.
There we are,
said Sarah, holding up a big bunch of daisies.
Let's go. Yes, or we'll miss the film,
James agreed.
Oh, I can't see the gate. Don't be such a baby, it's over there. No, it's not,
James replied nervously. Sarah looked around.
Oh dear, you're right for once. Now what can we do?
The twins wandered around, searching for the way back to the road.
Ah! What's that?
Screamed Sarah.
It's only a tree, silly,
whispered James.
Everything looks different in the fog. Oh, isn't it spooky?
Strange, said Penny, peering out of the window into the fog.
Sarah and James should be here by now. I better call Pontypandy and see what's happened.
Well, I don't know, but I did see them in the bus with Trevor, said Fireman Sam when Penny rang.
Newtown's hidden by fog,
said Penny.
They must be lost.
We'd better go and look for them, said Fireman Sam. I'll meet you halfway along the Newtown road, Penny.
Right-o, Sam. Drive carefully,
said Penny, and she set out in Venus. Fireman Sam to Firefighter Penny Morris. Over, said Fireman Sam as he drove slowly with Jupiter's headlights on.
I can't see much, Sam. Oh, here are some headlights.
Hang on, Penny. Here's a car. Fireman Sam slammed on the brakes.
Oh, it's Jupiter,
exclaimed Penny. The two vehicles stopped just in time.
Phew, that was lucky,
said Penny, jumping out of Venus. Oh, very, agreed Fireman Sam. Now, where have Sarah and James got to?
Look,
said Penny, pointing to the gate. Sarah's hanky, said Fireman Sam. They went through the gate. Right, said Fireman Sam. You stay with the vehicles while I go and look. He picked up his torch and set off. Sarah! James! Where are you? Fireman Sam's voice echoed as he made his way down the track in the fog.
It's all your fault we're lost,
James complained.
No, it's not,
Sarah argued as she stumbled forward.
Oh, help, James! You've fallen into the marsh. Quick, grab my hand,
cried James.
I'm going under,
cried Sarah.
Don't panic, Sarah. Help!
Fireman Sam stopped in his tracks. Sarah! James! I'm on my way! He called back. He started running in the direction of their cries. Great fires of London! I can't go forward or I'll sink too, said Fireman Sam.
Any luck, Fireman Sam?
Said Penny over the radio. We need your help. Drive down the track, Fireman Sam replied.
Message received and understood. I'm on my way,
said Penny calmly. Penny drove Venus towards Sarah and fixed one end of a rope round the winch. She gave the other end to Fireman Sam.
"Right, Sarah," said Fireman Sam, throwing the rope out to Sarah. "Catch the rope and put the loop under your arms."
They all waited nervously.
Got it!
Yelled Sarah after a few tries.
"Well done," said Fireman Sam with relief. "Start winching, Penny."
Very slowly the rope was pulled tight, and eventually Sarah was pulled out of the boggy ground into Fireman Sam's arms.
Thanks, Penny,
said James, and he handed Penny the bunch of daisies that Sarah had dropped. Back at the cafe, Sarah and James were tucking into Bella's special pizza when Dilys walked in, followed by Norman.
What are you two doing here? You're supposed to be at the pictures,
exclaimed Dilys, surprised.
How did you know that?
Asked Sarah.
Oh, I just know.
Dilys sighed.
I told you this morning, you mean,
said Norman.
Remember, ma'am?
Dilys turned round and glared at Norman.
Oh dear, Norman's future is looking dim,
giggled Sarah, and they all laughed at the joke.
When he hears the fire bell chime, Fireman Sam is there on time. Putting on his coat and hat, in less than 7 seconds flat. He's always on the scene, Fireman Sam, and his engine's bright and clean. Fireman Sam, you cannot ignore. Sam is the hero next door.
A spot of bother. It was the last day of term, and Sarah and James were on their way to school.
Hurry up, Norman,
called James.
It's the best day of term, remember? Not for me,
mumbled Norman.
I've got to do the spelling test again.
"Hello, you two. Waiting for Norman as usual," said Fireman Sam, who'd come for his newspaper. "How about a treat for break time?"
Oh, yes, please, Uncle Sam,
the twins replied.
Well, I never,
said Dilys.
There's a chicken pox epidemic in Pontypandy Valley. Newspaper for you, Fireman Sam?
She folded up the paper she had been reading and handed it over.
"Oh, thanks," said Fireman Sam. "I'll have 2 of those chocolate bars for Sarah and James as well, please," he said.
Where's Norman?
asked Sarah.
He was here a moment ago. Won't be long, just learning my spelling.
Norman shouted from upstairs.
Ma'am, I've got spots,
cried Norman, racing downstairs.
Oh, my poor darling,
cried Dilys.
It's a chicken pox. I knew it. He's so sensitive. Look at all those spots. Don't worry, ma'am. I'll go to bed after school.
Norman coughed feebly.
You'll go upstairs right this minute,
ordered Dilys.
We'd better go before we all catch chicken pox too,
shrugged James, looking at his watch.
"Hope you feel better soon, Norman," called Fireman Sam as they all left the shop. Up at the fire station, Elvis was giving Trevor his breakfast.
Why don't you try some muesli, Trevor?
Asked Penny.
It's much healthier.
"Thanks, Penny, but my appetite's healthy enough already," said Trevor, tucking into bacon and eggs. "Right, here are the duties for today," said Station Officer Steele. "Fireman Sam, you're on call. Firefighter Morris, check food supplies. Cridlington and Evans, timed jogging, and no excuses."
"But, sir, lunch is just going into the oven. It'll burn," Elvis pleaded.
Meanwhile, as soon as Dillis was busy, Norman leapt out of bed and wiped his spots off with a tissue.
I'm not wasting the day indoors,
he said. He'd reached Pandy Lane when he saw two figures in the distance. They gave him an idea.
"That's odd,"
said Elvis, looking at the road sign and frowning.
"I thought Pontypandy was that way."
Me too," Trevor agreed, scratching his head. Norman giggled as Trevor and Elvis took the wrong turning.
"Let's stop here and wait for a bus,"
Elvis suggested when they came to a bus stop.
"It'll be a long wait, Elvis. I'm the bus driver, remember,"
said Trevor.
"But we may as well have a rest."
They sat down and fell fast asleep.
Now for some real fun,
Norman whispered. Being careful not to wake them, he drew red spots on the sleeping firemen's faces.
Glad I spotted you here,
he giggled to himself. When Elvis and Trevor didn't come back, Fireman Sam and Station Officer Steele went to look for them.
"There they are, sir,"
said Fireman Sam. "Miles off course," muttered Station Officer Steele. "Whoever heard of a bus driver with no sense of direction?"
"Sir, they're covered in spots,"
said Fireman Sam. "In that case, he'll have to walk home. We can't risk infecting the whole force," Station Officer Steele said briskly. Suddenly, the alarm in Jupiter's cab sounded. "Good heavens! There's a fire at the fire station," said Station Officer Steele, talking to Penny on the radio. "We need all hands to the pump for this one, spots or not. Enter Jupiter, everyone!" With the siren blaring and the lights flashing, they raced through Pontypandy.
Mamma mia, it's the fire station! It's burning down!
exclaimed Bella, pointing at the cloud of smoke.
"Oh, help, it's the gas cooker,"
said Elvis, going pale as he saw smoke pouring from the kitchen window.
"I thought jogging was a bad idea. First chicken pox and now this," said Trevor. "Never again."
"Well, don't just stand there. Get the hose," yelled Station Officer Steele.
"I'll switch off the gas at the mains first,"
said Firefighter Penny Morris. Fireman Sam and Fireman Elvis Cridlington put on their air supply masks and picked up the hose. Kicking open the door, they charged into the smoke-filled kitchen.
"Stand by to help. This one looks serious," Fireman Sam reported back over the radio.
"How's it going, Fireman Sam?" asked Station Officer Steele a few minutes later.
"Send reinforcements,"
came the reply. "In you go, Firefighter Morris," ordered Station Officer Steele. Penny grabbed a fire extinguisher and went inside. Inside the kitchen, the three of them soaked the cooker in a flood of water.
"Coming under control at last, sir,"
said Fireman Sam as the flames died down, leaving the scorched cooker smouldering.
"Well, I won't be cooking on that for a bit, I suppose,"
said Elvis, wiping his face.
"Phew, it's hot in here."
"Some good news anyway," grinned Fireman Sam.
"Elvis, wipe your face again."
"Oh," exclaimed Elvis.
"Chicken pox all over my fingers."
Later that day, Fireman Sam was in Dillis's shop when Norman came skipping in.
"I'm better now, ma'am,"
he said cheerfully.
"Norman Price, you get back into bed at once with all those spots,"
said Dillis.
"You won't wipe those off so easily, my boy,"
laughed Fireman Sam as Norman scrubbed frantically at his face.
"And Mrs. Williams says you can do the spelling test next term,"
said James.
"Ma'am,"
moaned Norman,
"I feel ill."
Birthday surprise. It was Station Officer Steele's birthday.
But Fireman Sam and firefighter Elvis Cridlington were pretending that they had forgotten.
"I hope he doesn't know about the surprise party,"
Elvis whispered to Sam. "Shh," warned Sam as Station Officer Steele came into the mess hall.
"Any mail for me?" he asked. "Cards or parcels or anything?" "No, sir,"
Sam replied, hiding a smile. Sarah and James had taken the bus to Newtown to collect Station Officer Steele's birthday cake from the bakery. They were on their way to the bus stop when it began to rain.
"The cake mustn't get wet,"
said James.
"I've got an idea. Let's visit Penny at Newtown Fire Station while we wait for the bus to Pontypandy,"
said Sarah.
"That way we'll stay dry, and so will the cake."
At Newtown Fire Station, firefighter Penny Morris made tea for the twins.
"Look at the cake we've got for Station Officer Steele's birthday,"
said Sarah. Inside the box was a large cake in the shape of Jupiter, the fire engine.
Station Officer Steele was certainly like that,
Penny laughed. She pointed to a similar box on the table.
"I've got a present for him too, but it's a surprise."
As soon as the rain had stopped, the twins went out to catch the bus to Pontypandy.
"Hurry, James,"
said Sarah. She held the box in front of her as she ran towards the bus stop.
"We don't want to miss it."
But Sarah was running so fast, she slipped on the pavement, and the box went flying. James dived forward and caught the box just as it was about to land in a puddle.
"Oh, dear, I'm soaked,"
groaned James.
"At least the cake is still dry,"
said Sarah. Just then Trevor's bus appeared.
"Jump aboard, you two," he called. "The Pontypandy Express is at your service."
When Fireman Sam finished his shift at the fire station, he decided to go fishing.
"The rain should bring the fish to the surface," said Sam to himself. "I'd like to catch a nice big trout for Station Officer Steele's birthday dinner."
He waved as he noticed Trevor's bus pass him on the road alongside Pandy River. Further down, the rain had made the road slippery.
"Watch out!"
cried Trevor to the twins. He tried to stop the bus, but it slid out of control and plunged into the river. Water poured into the bus.
"Onto the roof, you two," Trevor told the twins. "The water won't reach up there."
He helped them to clamber out of the bus and onto the roof.
"I'll wade through the river and phone for help," he said.
Sarah and James sat on the roof of the bus and waited. Then Sarah spotted a box floating downstream away from the bus.
"Look, James,"
she cried.
"the cake will be ruined."
Downriver, Fireman Sam was not having much luck fishing. Suddenly he noticed a large box floating towards him.
"Strange," he thought. "I wonder where that came from."
He pulled the box into the boat. Curious, he began rowing upriver.
"Great fires of London!"
he exclaimed as he spotted Trevor's bus in the river.
"That's a funny place to park a bus,"
said Sam as he helped the twins into the boat.
"Are you two all right?"
"Yes, Uncle Sam, we're fine,"
said Sarah. James noticed the box in Sam's boat.
"You found Station Officer Steele's birthday cake,"
he exclaimed.
"It might be a bit soggy,"
said Sam. Just then Trevor returned.
"Penny's on her way from Newtown Station," he called. "I'll stay here and help her tow the bus out of the river." "Right-o, Trevor," replied Sam. "I'll take these two back to Pontypandy."
Penny arrived minutes later in Venus, the rescue tender.
"We'll soon have your bus on dry land,"
she said, and she quickly attached a tow rope from Venus to the back of the bus. Slowly she towed the bus onto the road. Trevor climbed into the driver's seat and turned the key. Nothing happened.
"The engine is damp," he said glumly.
"Don't worry," said Penny. "I'll tow you to Pontypandy. We'll be just in time for Station Officer Steele's birthday party. I've already stored his present in Venus."
That afternoon, Sam and the twins were helping Elvis to get ready for the party.
"First class, Elvis,"
said Sam, admiring the food that Elvis had prepared.
"It's a good job. There's no need for the fish."
"It's a pity the cake is ruined, though,"
groaned James, looking at the soggy box.
"We haven't missed the surprise, have we?"
asked Penny as she and Trevor arrived with their presents.
"Not at all,"
Sam replied.
Good.
Said Penny. She held up her box. It was wrapped up with a big bow.
I hope Station Officer Steele likes my present. Shh, he's coming,
whispered James. Immediately, everyone was quiet.
"Everyone's forgotten my birthday,"
They heard Station Officer Steele mutter as he opened the door to the mess hall.
Surprise!
They shouted.
Happy birthday, Station Officer Steele!
He beamed.
"So, you haven't forgotten after all?"
he said happily. Penny gave Station Officer Steele her box.
These are for gardening,
She told him. Station Officer Steele opened the box, then gave Penny a puzzled look.
How do I use a cake in my garden?"
That's our cake.
exclaimed Sarah. Station Officer Steele opened the other box to reveal a pair of green wellies.
We must have swapped boxes.
Laughed Penny to the twins. Fireman Sam chuckled.
"This party has been a surprise in more ways than one."
River Rescue. It was a sunny day in Pontypandy. On his way to the fire station, Fireman Sam popped into Mrs. Price's shop to buy a morning newspaper.
"Morning, Dillis," said Fireman Sam. "It's a lovely day today."
Is it?
Dillis replied.
I've been working so hard, I hadn't even noticed.
As Fireman Sam stepped outside the shop, Sarah and James came racing down the high street on their bicycles.
Look out, Uncle Sam!
Shouted James.
"Great fires of London!"
Fireman Sam exclaimed. Quickly he leapt out of the way, accidentally knocking into a crate of Dillis Price's best tomatoes.
Sorry, Uncle Sam.
Apologized Sarah.
Me too,
Said James.
"Why don't you two go for a ride in the countryside?" Sam suggested. "You're less likely to run into someone there."
Good idea, Uncle Sam.
Said James.
Come on, Sarah.
The twins turned round and rode out of the village. Later that morning, Sam walked into the mess hall at the fire station.
"Oh, breakfast smells delicious,"
he remarked.
"That's because Elvis didn't cook it,"
Said Station Officer Steele. He handed Sam a dish.
"He's gone to Newtown to collect a consignment of spare tires."
"I hope he's not going to use the tires in a new recipe," laughed Sam as he tucked into his breakfast. Firefighter Elvis Cridlington had picked up the tires from Newtown and was now on his way back to Pontypandy. He steered Jupiter up the bumpy road beside Pandy River. When he spotted Sarah and James coming towards him on their bicycles, he stopped to say hello.
"Hi, Sarah. Hi, James,"
he called.
Hi, Elvis.
Shouted Sarah.
We're having a race, and I'm winning. No, she's not.
Called James.
Yes, I am.
Replied Sarah. Elvis chuckled and waved, then continued on his way.
"Pontypandy, here I come,"
Whistled Elvis.
"I'll bet Fireman Sam and Station Officer Steele missed not having my special cooked breakfast this morning,"
he thought, as the big red fire engine bumped along the road. At the top of the hill, Jupiter bounced over an especially big bump, causing the locker door to fly open. Elvis didn't notice as the tires tumbled out of the locker and rolled back down the hill towards the river. Sarah and James were racing along at full speed when they spotted some tires rolling down the hill past them. From the corner of his eye, James could see that there were more tires coming down the hill behind them, and they were gaining speed. The twins had to do something, and quickly.
Watch out!
Cried James. The twins swerved out of the way.
Oh, no!
Cried Sarah as her bike crashed into a hedge.
Whoa!
Yelled James. He careered out of control down the embankment. James and his bike landed in the river with a mighty splash. The current carried James downriver. Finally, he managed to grab onto a tree branch that was overhanging the water. But the branch was slippery, and James had to fight against the current. He didn't know how long he'd be able to hold on.
Help!
He cried.
Sarah, get help!
Sarah climbed out of the hedge and raced to the river.
Hang on, James,
she called.
I'll go and ring the fire brigade.
At the fire station, Fireman Sam had come out to the forecourt to help Elvis unload the tires.
"It looks like you forgot the tires, Elvis,"
said Sam, pointing to the empty locker.
"That's funny," replied Elvis. "I'm sure they were there when I left Newtown."
Just then, Station Officer Steele sounded the alarm.
"Jump to it!"
he cried.
"James has fallen into Pandy River."
"Great fires of London!" cried Sam as he and Elvis jumped aboard Jupiter. They sped out of the station, sirens wailing. As Jupiter raced towards the river, Elvis spotted the tires scattered beside the road.
"Look, we found my tires,"
he said. Sam parked Jupiter near the bridge where Sarah was waiting.
Hurry, Uncle Sam,
she cried.
"Don't worry, Sarah," replied Sam. "We'll soon have James on dry land."
Quickly the firefighters unloaded the ladders from Jupiter, but even the longest extension ladder didn't reach James.
"Darrow," groaned Elvis. "What are we going to do now?"
help,
James cried.
I can't hang on much longer.
Suddenly, Fireman Sam had an idea. Sam sprang into action. He grabbed one of the tires from the roadside and tied a long rope round it. Then he threw the tire into the water from upriver. He held on tightly to the end of the rope as the current swept the tire towards James. Still holding on to the tree branch with one hand, James reached out for the tire with the other.
"It's working,"
said Elvis as the current carried the tire to James.
"Put the tire over your head, James, and hold on tight,"
shouted Sam. Fireman Sam, Elvis, and Station Officer Steele lined up in a row on the riverbank. They pulled the rope as hard and as fast as they could until they had towed James safely onto the bank.
"Quick thinking, Sam,"
said Steele as they lifted James out of the water.
Thanks, Uncle Sam,
said James.
You saved me.
"Luckily, there's no harm done,"
said Sam as he wrapped a blanket around a very wet James.
"Are you all right, Sarah?"
I'm okay, but my bike's not, she replied. I've got a bent front wheel. And mine's got a bent back wheel,
groaned James as he examined his bike.
"It's all my fault," moaned Elvis. "I should have made sure that the tires were safely locked in the locker."
Sam rubbed his chin thoughtfully.
"Let's go home, and I'll see what I can do with the bikes," he said.
Sam and Elvis loaded them into Jupiter, and they all drove back to Pontypandy. The next day, at the fire station, Elvis made the twins an ice cream sundae treat for the trouble he'd caused them.
My favourite,
said Sarah.
Mine too,
said James.
"And when you've finished, we've got a special surprise for you,"
said Elvis, with a mysterious grin. When the twins had finished their sundaes, they followed Elvis to the station forecourt.
Where's our special surprise?
asked James excitedly.
"Well, I'm afraid we couldn't straighten the wheels on your bikes," Elvis told the twins, "but Sam did the next best thing."
Fireman Sam and Station Officer Steele appeared riding a strange-looking bicycle.
"I couldn't fix your bikes," said Sam, "so I made a tandem."
Brill,
said James.
Fantastic,
exclaimed Sarah.
It'll be the only one in Pontypandy.
When he hears the fire bell chime, Fireman Sam is there on time. Putting on his coat and hat, in less than 7 seconds flat. He's always on the scene, Fireman Sam, and his engine's bright and clean. Fireman Sam, you cannot ignore. Sam is the hero next door. Driving down the busy street, greeting people that he meets. Someone could be in a jam, so hurry, hurry, Fireman Sam. He's always on the scene, Fireman Sam, and his engine's bright and clean. Fireman Sam, you cannot ignore. Sam is the hero next door.
You can enjoy more adventures with Fireman Sam and his friends in the village of Pontypandy in James and the Well and Other Stories on Story Cassette from Tempo Read.